Welcome to Wickedly Smart and Woefully Stupid,
Where we chase the patterns that could save us.
and call out the ones dragging us down.
I'm Wendy Peterman, and I see everything through the lens of nature.
And I'm Harvey Stone, and I can't stop imagining better ways to govern ourselves. Yeah.
Every week, we look at the wickedly smart solutions,
And the woefully stupid mistakes, because desperate times call for desperate measures.
wildly different thinking for a world that's woefully off track.
So today we're talking about why this podcast. Why are we doing this now, Wendy, right? Um,
It's a good question.
I looked it up. There right now there's an estimated 4 million podcasts out there. Yeah. Yeah. So let's just say we're 4 million and one. Does the does the world
We would
really
be.
need another podcast? And the answer is a screaming no. Yet,
Here we are.
and I haven't listened to all 4 million of them, I have to admit that.
Oh, that's probably good. That would be
It,
pretty
it really
exhausting.
would be, yeah. But what we're talking about, I think, is so different from anything I have heard or
Mm,
heard about, which has to do with really a whole other way of looking at what's going on in the world today and what's going on in this country,
mhm,
um, and approaching it from a different point of view than is typically and conventionally done. And that's what you and I have been talking about, and why this podcast makes sense, and why I think people would be interested in it. I would be interested if I was starting to listen to this podcast, because in so many ways, as a nation, as a world, we seem stuck and polarized and
mhm.
gridlock. And my
Yeah.
God, we need some new thoughts. And that's,
Please,
yeah,
please,
please,
somebody
right,
think or say something else.
right. So here we are. It's not exactly the cavalry coming to rescue, but here
No.
are some new ways for people listening, some new ways to really look at things, and hopefully to give a sense of hope that you and I have, that
Mhm.
there, despite how in many ways bad things are and polarized they are on all sides, that there is a way forward and a better future that is out there that we can see, that isn't evident from watching mainstream media. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important, that we're just having conversations about this and we have a general sense of this. I don't want to mislead anybody into thinking that we have answers or that we, have a specific future that is the way it's going to be or that's going to fix everything or create hope. But I think that we hold, both of us hold within us the sort of wisdom of the unknown and also some outlooks that are being able to see through to the other side, like yeah, we're in this and things are really looking very chaotic and there's a lot of polarization, but we believe in staying in the conversation and putting some energy behind the things that look like they're gonna start going better and making the world a better place, and we just really like to focus on those.
Yeah, that's right. That's really what it is. Yeah. And both of us in our own ways, as you and I have talked, have been working on this for a fairly long time.
Hmm.
And I know for myself, it really started about 10 years ago, when actually Donald Trump was first elected. And it wasn't even so much that it was Trump. I know
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are
Yeah,
extremely reactive to Trump, and I've certainly had
sure.
my reactions to it. But mostly it was that, oh my God, what is it? What is the state of the country,
Mm.
that the differences? And you just look at the last three, four, as a symbol presidents. If you went
Hmm.
from you had a Bill Clinton, and then you went to a George Bush, and then you went to
Hmm.
Barack Obama, and then you went to
Hmm.
Donald Trump, and then Joe Biden. And I
Hmm.
mean, it's like political whiplash.
It's dizzying,
It is
for
dizzying.
sure.
And
Yeah,
and it's almost like each side, if it has the same arguments about the other side,
sure.
about how
Yeah.
awful,
Hmm.
they are, we are. And
Sure.
it's like, if this continues, if this level of polarization, which is as great as it's been since the Civil War, blah, 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 is going to continue, there's a good chance that the country and the global economy could continue down the chute.
Sure.
And the biggest issue, at least as I've looked at it, in the last 10 years, is there is very little very little understanding of the potential of moving to a far better world
Mhm.
in the next 10 to 15 years that is out there but hidden because it isn't covered very much in the mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think also that yeah, that's not our focus. You know, a mentor of mine likes to say you see what you focus on. And I just think that the focus has been really polarized on different things. And what's really interesting is that when I'm listening to people and you know, being in conversation with people, I notice that quite often we agree on what the problems are. You know, not the talking points, but the actual problems and things that people are seeing and experiencing, and
Mhm.
just their way that they believe that someone is going to address the problem or make it better is very different.
Right.
And I don't actually think either side is addressing problems. I think they're just kind of taking advantage of them, you
Mhm.
know, to get their own you know, agenda accomplished or whatever. But it has seemed like we're kind of circling the drain. I know that in 2016. People were just really wanting a very big change. I felt like people were at this boiling point. And I know that Bernie Sanders was insanely popular. You know,
Mhm.
my kids were all voting for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And and then there was, you know, Trump. And it was really a lot of people kind of didn't care one way or the other as long as there was just a big change, you know, and instead, you know, we got something that was more probably about the way things look and the way, you know, that that party wanted to look as opposed to, you know, really getting a big change. And so we've ended up with the change being, you know, what it is happening now.
Yeah. And yeah, and since then the polarization has just deepened even further, right? On
Yeah,
both
I just,
sides. It's
yeah,
not one
people
side.
are just being very reactive. All I know is that's what I don't want, you know, and now I'm gonna get, you know,
Right.
very vocal
Right.
about that.
So, as I like metaphors or like, thinking of things in those terms or
Sure,
right.
I do too.
So have you ever gone on a vacation?
Yeah, I have, believe it or not.
You have?
I
Okay.
have,
I
yeah.
have too. I'll bet most of our listeners probably have gone on vacation. Well, for instance, where's one place you went to?
Chile, Patagonian
Chile
Chile.
on a vacation, right?
Hmm.
Right. Now, did you know anything about Chile before you went?
Not a whole lot, but I did have to research where we were going and things like that because my dad wanted me to take him there and he didn't know anything about it.
Right. Yeah, and that's generally what we do. We say, I want to go to Chile, I want to go to London, I want to go to the Rocky Mountains, wherever it is, right? We
Hmm.
get an idea of where we want to go,
Sure.
right? And then we do some research about it. How do you get
Hmm.
there? What do you wear? What do you eat?
Yeah,
You gotta
yeah,
freeze or boil, right?
exactly,
Right.
exactly. Is it
That's
safe?
how I've come to think about the future,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
that I want to get to a different 2035
Hmm. Yeah.
that is very different from 2025, right?
Yeah, or even different, and especially different than the way if we look at how it has been and the circling the drain to where we've gotten now and what things are looking like now, we want a different 2035 than if we were, you know, forecasting from what we've been experiencing too.
That's right. Yes. And so, for those people who are listening today, that what I think is different about this podcast is that we have a picture of what 2035 could look like and what it might take to get there. And a big piece of what we want to do here is that we want to talk about that. We want to talk about what it would look like, why we think it is credible that we can get there, always assuming that we can navigate all the polarized negative stuff that's going on. If we could find ways to do that. But that it's seeing that I want to go to Chile, I want to go to the Rocky Mountains, I want to go to 2035 and have a happier life and feel, as we talk about it, safer, saner, and stabler in 2035.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Right?
Hmm.
I'm betting the ranch on, on that happening because I don't know what else to bet it on.
Yeah,
But
that's the thing is that, there can be the hopelessness, and we have a learned helplessness, I think, in our society quite often, in our lives that this is just life and the way our system goes, it's too big, it's too complex. I can't do anything about it. I won't be able to change it. It's all happening to me.
yes,
And I think what we're trying to say is like, let's take some initiative, let's have some conversations, let's look at the possibilities, the things that are going right that we could put some energy behind,
yeah,
and let's take some initiative and empower ourselves to make the world the way that we would like it to be.
yeah. So from your perspective, you talked about seeing things through nature. I mean,
Mm.
what what's the lens that allows you to see a better 2035?
Well, it's kind of human evolution and just the evolution of our world. I know people don't like that word evolution a whole lot, but it just means the kind of changes that we're all constantly going through. We're not static. We don't stay in the same place. Thank goodness we can learn from our mistakes. And we are actually, whether we see it, like it, or not, we are always part of nature. And no matter what we do, how far we try to get from that, we will always have to come back to that and try to figure out how we're going to cooperate and communicate
Yeah,
and partner and be part of nature. We just can't avoid it. It's the way we are.
yeah, yeah. See, I got to it a little differently,
Mhm.
having grown up in the city. As a kid, I was not the nature kid that you were, right? I was the city kid. We played basketball on asphalt courts and parks, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it's when I started, actually in 2016, started looking at, well, how has American politics been conducted?
Hmm.
Right? It became clear to me that there's certain things which is you got to start out. Got to have your platitudes.
Hmm.
You got to have your promises. You got to have
Hmm.
your plans to get
Hmm.
somewhere, right?
Hmm.
But what
Hmm.
was missing, and it looked like at least maybe throughout all of American politics, I don't know, almost zero attention to what are the stories that show the progress already achieved that indicate we could have a chance of getting to whatever the goal is,
Right.
whether the goal is energy or social justice or
Right.
whatever that is. So that became my obsession for a number of years and still is. And I think I may have told you one time I was collecting, I think I stopped at about 3,200 of collecting these stories. And
Mm.
there's so many of them. I cannot possibly follow them. And it blows my mind still. It takes an act of faith to say, my God, there really are that many. There are so many people and companies and organizations and agencies working towards a better world that
Mm.
I did not know anything about and still only know a fair portion about.
Well,
And
they're not really highlighted, are they? I mean, they're not really what we're seeing so much in social media and the news and things like that. I think as the news networks are getting consolidated and also polarized and that sort of thing, we'll probably see less and less of that sort of thing in the news. So I think it's great, that you collected them. We can highlight them. We can invite people that we can talk to about these things and say like these are people who are and companies and organizations that are doing things that are, really positive and in alignment with going in a better direction in the future.
and that's what we'll do. Each episode, we'll talk at least about a few of them. And some of them are breakthroughs. And there's some incredible medical breakthroughs, for instance. Another cure I just read about it for Huntington's disease. I
Mm.
mean, there
Wow.
are technological breakthroughs. I mean, there are breakthroughs in terms of how new ways of building, of using concrete and green concrete and of building sustainable buildings. There's a
Hmm.
lot of them. And so each week we're going to talk about some of them and how that plays out into the larger economy and what it could mean for our lives in the next 10 years.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
yeah,
Can't wait.
yeah. So I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun to do this, and you know, we have a good time doing it. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
we
also a
do.
great way to stay sane,
It is.
saner.
I think that's the thing, it's just having someone to talk to and talk these things through with. And who wants to have a more positive outlook, who's willing to have conversations and look at all sorts of different sides, who has a very different perspective from our own selves. And yet we feel comfortable, saying like, oh, I don't see it that way, or I actually come from a totally different perspective, or I was traveling around and I was noticing this about people, and I could see how they would feel that way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And one of the interesting things that the way we've talked about framing what we're going to talk about is if this is part of our optimism, again, assuming we can navigate all that stuff, right? Uh, Big assumption, right?
Yeah.
Is is that for the first time in human history, right, that we're at a place of the convergence of three different intelligences.
What are those?
Human intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which can, on the one hand, put telescopes out in space and and look back into the very beginnings of the universe,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or
Sure.
open a business or whatever, all those things that we've
Mm-hmm.
learned to do. Hold podcasts,
Yeah.
right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is artificial intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which these days, as you and I love to use AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
To have at our fingertips the extraordinary database of almost all of human knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
to have access to that, to
Mm-hmm.
match with human intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And the third is nature-inspired intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
which is as we are learning more and more, particularly through biomimicry and other organizations,
Mm-hmm.
of understanding better how nature in the, what is it, 4.8 billion years has solved the problems of how to live on this planet, right? And so it's the convergence of them. And what I'm finding fascinating here is, for instance, almost any, like they're talking about the breakthrough with Huntington's,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
The way they were able to do it, human intelligence set up the experiments, the medical experiments, or however they did that, right, to get to the cellular level of what was causes the disease, right?
Mm-hmm.
They used AI, right, to guide or to do, thousands or millions of clinical tests in course of I don't know how long, whatever period of time it
Thought
was.
experiments. Yeah.
A lot of experiments, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the understanding of how the human body, in this case, the cellular cells work, right?
Incredible.
To be able to come up with the breakthrough. And
Yeah.
it's as if almost every breakthrough these days, not every, but many of them incorporate certainly human and artificial intelligence, and more of them are incorporating now nature-inspired intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives us a shot if we could live in a nature-inspired nation, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
next 10 years or more so,
Yeah.
what a
That'd be
difference that
amazing.
would make.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, regenerative
Yeah.
agriculture, a lot of this. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot about this kind of thing,
Yeah.
how to use AI to, avail ourselves of all of the information that's already available and all the small observations and tweaks that humans have made in their understanding over the last 100 years. And how do we how do we connect all of those things, make connections between them and help them see things from all of the different sides and not just, the scientific side, but the social and the, economic and the cultural and the religious and
Yeah.
anything that might need to be seen in order to fully understand a question or a problem and make some progress.
I'm curious, did you have a reaction to AI at first, or a negative
Well,
about it, or
so the thing is with AI that I actually had been working on AI, machine learning and decision tree analysis for predictive soil mapping and ecological modeling for forest die-offs,
Mhm.
in my graduate studies.
Yeah.
And so to me, AI was this thing where you're taking multiple different kinds of programs that can analyze different things, and you're, training them and forcing them to work together to make something, some sort of predictive thing, or to model some sort of natural phenomenon using data, that existing data, or small data sets that you would have to make. So that was my perception of AI. That's what AI was to me, was this emerging thing. And so I've been wanting AI to get more sophisticated in that way, so that we could do this with large data sets and compare big things that are going on lots of places in the world. And these large language models, which people are calling AI now, and so AI has become something different. It does still access, data mine, does still access a number of things, does use some very limited logic. And, mostly it has an interface, and people use it like an assistant, or, a tool, or that sort of thing. And it grows the more you do that. I mean, I can see my AI learning from me,
Yeah.
whenever we're interacting. Unfortunately, it also keeps updating in ways that are not as useful or helpful than when we
Yeah.
first started out. But in terms of, constantly having to train it, relearn, partner with it, that sort of thing. So I'm hoping these things come together. I'd like to bring them together, especially in my research, where the large language models can connect with this super intense data, big data, environmental covariate, kind of work that I was doing, and try to bring them together to maybe make some of this stuff a little more accessible, or automated, or, well-rounded in terms of the different perspectives that it can be looked at through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it does. I've had to work through for myself because I had an initial fear about it, just fear
Mm-hmm.
about. I still have some fear about it.
Yeah, a
What
lot of people
runaway
do.
AI, all those things, and
Well, all of that stuff is going to happen. I'll just tell you right now.
it
It's all
will.
going to happen.
Oh, thank you for clearing
All the
that up.
bad stuff
I
you're
don't have
thinking
to
of,
think
it's
about it
happening.
anymore.
It's happening now. It's going to happen. Don't worry about it. But we still could make some good things happen.
Yeah. I mean, my best analogy was nuclear power,
Uh, hmm
right? And obviously the destructive power of nuclear weapons we know, but somehow we have not used those in 80 years.
hmm
But it could happen to tomorrow,
mm.
right? But there's also, in terms of generating energy through nuclear as a way of reducing carbon emissions, et cetera, et
Sure,
cetera, et cetera.
sure.
I mean, there are
And
positives to it.
yeah, when I first heard of the internet, and people talking on videos and everybody talking about their ideas, I said, this is evil, and I waited as long as I possibly could to get engaged with it and that sort of thing. And, yeah, that kind of stuff has happened, is happening, that sort of thing. It has wiped out a lot of, ways that we used to be and stuff like that that I enjoyed, and connection. And then it's created a lot of other things. It's just kind of the way it is now, and we're engaging in the way that we do or not. But when I was a kid, to your point about the nuclear power, I was expecting to die in a nuclear war when I was
Yeah,
a kid. World
yeah,
War III, it was going to be nuclear, and an entity that will not be named, that is very close to Alaska,
yeah,
was going to bomb us, and we were going to die. And I was prepared.
yeah,
I practiced seeing that big flash of white light as the last thing that I saw. We had drills and things, the drills
yeah,
that they have these days are really unfortunate, but we had nuclear war
yeah,
drills and discussions, and that's what the sci-fi movies were about. So that's a lot to say, like, and now that's, I don't even think kids in school know about nuclear weapons and nuclear war, which is wonderful. Unfortunately, they know about active shooters,
right.
which are more likely actually than nuclear war was. But so that just shows how, like, the big bad, of whatever your era is, the big scary thing, and that's creating the chaos, and your, whatever trauma you have from surviving that era, it changes.
Yeah, it does. And to me, it speaks to, again, if we can avoid, as we have nuclear war, right? If we can avoid a lot of the other things, negatives that are going on, um, and with AI in particular, the upside is so up.
Hmm
I mean, I can't even imagine what human society, civilization, and quality of life could be if we could actually begin to harness it in ways. You combine that with enormous gains in biotechnology and
hmm
you name it.
hmm
Um,
Yeah, so
what
let's
a
focus on
difference.
that.
Is that, yeah, and that's what that folks is what we're going to focus on here.
Hmm.
We're going to
Yeah.
mention some of the other stuff because you have to talk about some of the negative stuff that's going on.
Woefully
Right,
stupid.
right. That's
Hmm.
right. The woefully stupid part of this. Right.
Yeah.
And people may ask, it may cross people's minds, well, what do you think is woefully stupid?
Yeah, that sounds like a really strong judgment. But we're humans, we make mistakes. That's just the way it is. We're all both all the time.
Yeah, that's what I think. And
Yep.
most of the big problems, issues around climate, I mean, ultimately, all the fires, all the droughts, all the floods, all the extreme weather, all the blah 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 that goes on, damage, destruction, death, right? Ultimately, to me, when I look at it, step back far enough, right? It's human mistakes.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, we've all dealt with this. I mean, not we all, but humanity has dealt with and survived these things before with far less resources. I was watching something on Curiosity Stream, which we know I love to do,
Yeah.
about early humans. And it was talking about the first humans in America. And, they came from Siberia across Beringia, and they're all wrapped in furs. And it is just an ice age. And who knows how they got across there. And they were so desperate for food and all of that ice that they came to a whole new place looking for food. But you know, we've survived ice ages, we've survived all kinds of things in our few hundred years of existence on this planet, and we did not have anywhere near the resources that we have now to do
So
that.
you're saying if they could survive, we can survive?
That's kind of what I'm saying. I think so. I think so. And even if we have another ice age and a big crash in civilization and that sort of stuff, some of us will survive that. Woo, that's super hopeful.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Well, I actually am. I mean, I'm also scared out of my mind about what
Sure,
could happen,
sure.
but also really hopeful, and that's the balance, I think, and that it allows me to eat lunch and not throw up.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, that's what we're going for here. Don't throw up your lunch, man.
don't throw hold that. Yeah. Oh God. Um, so what else do we need to, should we tell folks about what we want to
I think
do in
we've
this
been
podcast?
very, very detailed. They might be a little overwhelmed.
These folks are crazy, right? But hopefully they'll tune in to see in what ways we're crazy.
There you go. There you go. Welcome to our kind of crazy.
I actually find when I've talked about this with other people, um, I can see the eyes roll. There's a habit of getting into despair is a habit.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I've been
Learned.
there.
It's learned.
I've
Learned
spent
despair.
enough years over, being in
Hmm.
despair about this or that,
Sure.
personal or professional or
Yeah.
political, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not helpful.
it isn't. It isn't. It's a human experience, and
Hmm.
we have to feel it
Yeah.
and
Only way
acknowledge it.
out is through, but you got to get through and go
That's
somewhere.
right.
Can't hang out
That's
there.
right. So our focus is really, so let's honor that, and let's also honor the hopeful side that is based in real world credible examples of progress being achieved and the real possibility of getting to that safer, saner, stable world. Right?
Amen. Well
Amen.
said.
All right. So we'll be back next week
Hmm.
with another exciting chapter of Wickedly Smart. And
Woefully stupid.
there it is, right there. All right. Thank you all for tuning in and listening. We've had fun. Hope you've had it
Yeah.
too. And we're off and running.
All right. Awesome
All right.
sauce. Good job.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.